Hi guys, very nice to be here. We are Nacho and Bianca, both from Latin America, from Brazil and Argentina. Been here for about 6 years, and we run To Home from London. That is a startup that actually makes souvenirs, gift and souvenirs here in London, inspired by British culture. And yeah, we've been on this journey for a few years now. And yeah, as Jean was saying, the idea is to share a little bit what we've been through, like how we got here, and also some learnings, some tips, if you're also entertaining the idea of actually starting something that might be useful as well.
Clearly the key decisions, like Jean said, we're both living in Belgium. I was working as a strategy consultant and he was working for an energy company. So after a while, we said, okay, we need something different. And then Jean came up with the idea of perhaps doing an MBA. And I was working still for my consulting company, so he applied and to MBAs where I could get a transfer. So in the end, we made the decision, all right, let's move to London. He did an MBA and I asked for a transfer. So we left our peaceful, quiet little Belgium. We moved to London. It came exactly at the right moment. And yeah, that's where the excitement started.
Well, like Nacho said, I'm from Brazil, he's from Argentina, and I think it's very funny how we cannot disassociate the story of Jean from London from our personal story, because it all started when we met in Carnival in Rio, and we decided, we went out on our first date, and Nacho told me, okay, so in 1 year, I'm going to be moving to London to do an MBA, and I was like, okay, very exciting to meet you guys. So, but then after a few months, he told me, well, maybe you come with me too. And to his surprise, maybe I did. And 1 year later, we moved to London, the two of us. And
yeah, and this picture is actually the first time that I've been to Brazil, to Bianca's parents' house, because I invited her to come to London with me. So I had to at least show my face and say, okay, hi Dad, this is the guy that's inviting me to London. And when I went to their parents' house, I saw all of these beautiful paintings that were in the house that Bianca did when she was very young. And this is a very important part of the story, because it was kind of the seed of then why we came up with the idea of To Home from London.
So second big step then following that was the MBA. So we both did the MBA together, and we're actually in the same study group. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with MBAs, but you're put into little groups when you start. And we both were there, and actually looking backwards, that was also a very important step, because that's where we met like very like-minded people, I have to say, that supported us in our whole journey of starting something entrepreneurial, and the seed of what we would do afterwards was actually already planted in that environment. So it was great, it was very intense. Camille was working while I was studying, and I was resting in the weekends while she was actually working.
And he was money and he was consuming it.
But Camille and I got the best of the MBA, so we attended all the parties, and we had all the fun but none of the work.
And the MBA was important because it was a time also of our careers as well. So Jean was working in an energy company for many years. And I was working in consulting as well for many years. I was an EM at the point, and for me the MBA was a great time to take a step back from this rush, the rush in the career and the promotions and stuff, and looking, really starting to look at what we want to do in the future.
Well, for me, I had just graduated from university when I moved to London. I was 24, actually, and then I had that was like actually when I turned 24, my first birthday in London. Nacho, after seeing all my pictures from my paintings in my parents' house, he gave me a full art kit, so I could like start drawing again. And then I did, and the first collection came out like very Londony. And this was literally in the first 6 months of the MBA. And I said, well, I want to try something on my own. I decided that I wanted to make coasters. So they came out very touristy, and then I got literally like a stall in Portobello. So they were going to the MBA, and I kind of already like started from London getting a stall one day in Portobello. So
I was working for McKinsey after my MBA. Personally, with hindsight, I don't think it was a great decision. I think I did it more for first of all, to pay back the MBA debt, but also for the facade of the company itself, because I thought it would look good on my CV. I mean, I learned a lot of things, but with hindsight, I don't think I would have done it again. So that's definitely a lesson learned for me.
We couldn't find any evidence of John working at McKinsey, so we had to put a picture of Camille.
It's actually my LinkedIn picture. It's still my LinkedIn picture.
But yeah, for me it's the same. When the MBA finished, we already kind of had the idea of to come from London. We were already testing the concept. But there was a lot of things going on. An MBA is a big investment as well. So I said, okay, let's go back to the work that I used to have before, back to consulting, and then see how we feel. And immediately, the first couple months, just after going back to work, it also felt that wasn't my place anymore. You know, when you just walk into the office or start your day, start your week, and you just don't feel that is what is really making you, smile in the morning and gives you energy.
I think also
How old were you guys when you went back to work?
You were 27 or 29 when you went back.
I was
30.
30.
Yeah, better than I should. I was 27 and I finished the MBA 29.
Yeah, same. 29.
You're from the same year, so it's complicated math. Well, and I think like Jean said, that the MBA is quite an expensive experience or sabbatical, if you're going to put it that way. But anyhow, like when we started the MBA, Nacho obviously was not working. And then we were thinking, well, and then I started home from London, going to the markets, etc. And we were thinking, like, now we look back and say, like, yeah, what a brilliant idea. Now we started an MBA, moving to London, living in pounds, and none of us working. So zero income being generated. So at the same time, during the MBA, I found a part-time job. I was working for a beachwear company. That would be 4 days a week working in their store. And on Fridays, I would go to Portugal myself. So it was like for about a year. And then after that, I quit my part-time job to do this full-time.
Yeah, so that's where the idea started brewing. Meanwhile, I was still working in consulting, so still in my same company in London. But the good thing about consulting is that we could take time off. So it's not like a corporate job where you have a fixed number of days per year. In consulting, you actually can take unpaid leave. So we did it a couple of times where we actually went traveling. Once we did a 4-month trip to Latin America, and then we did some other trips in Asia as well. And that's the moment where we realized, okay, we love to travel. It's amazing.
What a surprise!
It gives us so many ideas. Every time we came back from our travels, we're like, okay, no, this is that. Like, our minds were going crazy. And then that's actually the moment where we started the blog. You know that feeling when you travel a lot, right? Your mom calls you every now and then you have this long distance call with everyone in the family. So we thought, okay, let's just keep that, make a blog, post something once a week or something like that with our pictures so that they can stay up to date with what we're doing. That's how our blog was born, initially during our travels, just for friends and family.
Sorry, I want to say something. When we moved to London, we are 5 years distance, okay? She's 5 years younger than me. And when we moved to London, she said, I think we should have a blog. And I think, what? and then I actually like the idea of a blog, and then we started with it too.
Yeah, so that's where the name came from. And then after we were like posting, but then after we started making the coasters, the first collection came out very touristy, like all the London icons, the landmarks. We got this on the Portugal, and people started perceiving them as souvenirs as well. And then they said, I love your souvenirs. And then I was thinking, no, I don't make souvenirs. I'm making like a home decor company that I'm going to have like a new collection with mermaids and unicorns in the future. But then after being in Portobello, we got like so many good feedback. And that's when we realized, okay, but look at the souvenir options around London. There's nothing nicely done. So we mass-produced cheap things. And then early on, we realized the potential of creating like this segment in the souvenir business that is like something more design-led, with quality handcrafted here. And we decided to quit any ideas of making anything that wasn't London or UK related and embrace the concept of being a souvenir brand.
This is the very first day that we put the idea out there. So it's the very first day that we went to Portobello, set up the stall, and showed our products to people. It's a very landmark picture. We didn't even have a cover in the roof to start, and we didn't have a storage. We would come always with a piece of luggage, you know. But one thing that is cool about testing retail ideas is that London has so many markets that you can try as well. And you can go like really freelance almost, like 1 day a week, and just get feedback from your idea as well. And that's what we did with Portobello.
Yeah, I think people really underestimate the options that you have in London to try like a product or something like this. In Portobello, back then, like we were paying £15 on a Friday to try it out, and it became a business out of this. So.
What was this picture?
2015.
So how did we get there? Well, for us, first we got married, and before we got married, we said, okay, we want to do something special for our honeymoon. We don't want to go for a couple of weeks to a luxury resort. No, we want to go again for a longer period of time, take our backpacks, go to Asia. We just booked a one-way ticket. We had like kind of an idea of the countries we wanted to do, but we didn't plan anything. We left, and that's when the fun started. There we realized, okay, both not very big posters before that. We didn't know much about the platform. We started to post every day, every day, not maybe 1 day out of 2. We started to post stories, and we went to quite cool places. For instance, we went to some abandoned islands in the Philippines. We went to Myanmar to see these amazing views. We went hiking in Bhutan. And we started posting about it, and we realized, okay, people are really interested in this, and people that we didn't know started to follow us, people that we didn't know started to comment, and started, by that time, I think this was halfway into our honeymoon, we had already like 1,000 likes, which for us was crazy. And then by the end of our honeymoon, we came back and we had, I think, almost 10,000 followers, 8,000 followers or something like that. So this pushed us like, let's do something with this, let's get better at taking pictures, let's post more, let's investigate what we can do with this. And then, little by little, we started to get demands for collaboration. So people actually sending us a message on Instagram saying, hey guys, we love your accounts, perhaps we can do something together and we'll pay you, or you can get this for free. And I think that's the moment, right, where we realize, okay, whoa, this is actually something that we can make money with. And then we saw some other people who were doing it. We're like, this is a dream life, let's try it. Jean was ready to give his job like that. For me, it was a little bit more difficult because I'm more risk averse, I think, in the two of us. I was holding on, so I asked for a longer leave of absence, and then they told me, okay, but you can try it, and then maybe let's talk again in 1 year. And in 1 year, if you see it doesn't work out, you can come back. So they were super chilled about it. They were even saying, yeah, maybe we can do some freelance stuff together in the meantime to keep you going. And it's so super flexible, and that's how it got started.
So from my side, at this time already we had this volume of sales, okay, you can see, we fill the table with coasters. And Bianca was the only one that was actually running the whole thing, because I was back in my full-time job, so I was working Monday to Friday in consulting, or even maybe a couple of hours on the weekends as well. And on my free time, I was helping Bianca with the business. But Bianca was completely stretched at that point. She was doing absolutely everything, producing, buying, so everything. So the idea started growing in my mind. Okay, we need a co-founder. Basically, we need to bring someone else to shape the business. And then I said, okay, I'm going to regret a lot if I am actually not that person, that co-founder, because we are very complementary, the two of us. And yeah, it's a business that was growing literally in the second bedroom of our house. I was literally seeing it grow. So again, I took advantage that I was working in consulting, and consulting offers this flexibility of taking time off, or of so yeah, I said, okay, let's give it a shot. And then that's why I said it all starts. It's a very soft exit. No, it all started saying, I'm going to take a year to say this. It's talking 1 year, and then that year became 2 years, and then yeah, then here we are.
for us, it was more, it's something to understand that you can make money, it's something else to make enough money to pay for your rent in London and to live in London. So it took us around a year to kind of nail the game of how can you keep growing and kind of understand all the mechanics behind it. And at the same time, start monetizing it in a way that we can both live from it. And so we went through a process of understanding how to nail the social media game. And I mean, it's a separate presentation, but for us, the three main things were to really pick the niche that that you are passionate about, then learn how to create great content, and we learned everything just by looking at online tutorials. And the third one is make sure that people see your content. So we learned tricks to make sure that our posts were reposted and that our posts were appearing on other big pages and all of that. So we went through that process. And at the same time, we were implementing a sort of model that was self-sustaining. So whenever we traveled, we tried to get as many collabs as possible. So we didn't pay for hotels, didn't pay for flights usually. Rented out our flat here in London whenever we were traveling. And we were making a bit of money with brands and with collabs, and that just allowed us to break even at least over the first year.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first few months were definitely an investment from our side because we were only at 10K, so we were still in honeymoon mode, is backpacking, spending as least as possible. But yeah, after by the end of the year, we started to get into this break-even model.
That's when I was doing the work part-time and doing one day in Portobello. And also like quitting that job to start focusing full-time, we always had like this goal in mind. Okay, so if you make £1,000 working in this retail shop, like I have to generate the same £1,000 with selling like our coasters in Portobello, like profit, to quit my job. So that was my first goal. And then after that, that I could dedicate my time fully to home from London. Like we could start like expanding. So I got like from one table in Portobello, we started doing 3 days in Portobello, and then 2 tables in Portobello, and then in 2017, we got a stall in Camden Market and one in Speedo Foods, and it's a progression. So then we got a Christmas markets, 2 Christmas markets. They invited to open their first shop in Camden, the second shop, and. So that's but at the point that Nacho decided to quit his job, like he said, I was very stretched. So I was like, we had like 6 people already as sales assistants working for us in the busiest time of the season, it's Christmas. I was doing everything from like looking for packaging, like the new envelope, or training, designing, anything, like looking for rubber bands for the new product that we're gonna launch. So at some point, I couldn't do much myself. And that's when Nacho joined it was quite federal, like a big, big size business. And then Nacho decided to quit his job. And in the same year, actually, he quit his job. We got married. We took 2 months of honeymoon, and this was last year, and it was like the best summer in London. So we kind of like started working together for real, like in September, after the summer was over.
So these are just photos from the first step. So this is literally where we started the business, a 1 square meter table in the corner of our living room. And then this is the first Jean market that we did, the first speed of sales, and our first shop in Camden. So the very first steps that we took.
So then 5th year, we call it. It's more in the sense of how do we bring the business now to the next level. So for us now, we grew to around close to 300,000 followers. That allows us now to really put the next gear. And the main revenue streams for us now are threefold. So there is the brand collabs, which is still part of it. So we just advertise products or even cities. Like for example, we work a lot with tourism boards. This was in Brussels last week. We just have a collab with Visit Brussels, where they pay us for posting on our Instagram account. So that's one big lever, but the main lever for us now is to come up with our own products, and there we have the digital products, where we sell our photo filters basically, which is working extremely well for us. So we just developed them once, and it keeps on selling afterwards, which is pretty amazing. That's an example.
So maybe how they work. So basically, it's basically a digital product that you download once to your phone or to your laptop. You import the picture onto your phone or onto your laptop. You click to apply the picture.
Same as Instagram filters.
A bit like Instagram filters. I don't know if you know them, where you swipe and you get different colors, and so you just basically buy them once and then you have them on your phone forever. And this is something that we sell on the site through our Instagram account and our blog, and it's generating some revenue.
Yeah. So it's all about finding digital products that you basically develop once and keep on selling to new followers that follow your account.
That's my dream.
And it's actually great. Now we're thinking about what are others ways to do so, and we're currently developing a masterclass, an online masterclass. There's a lot of demand from people to understand our tips. Because many people or brands want to grow their social media presence, so we're working on an online masterclass that will be sold also through our platforms. And then the third is our own brand. So like that's something that many bloggers do as well, is developing an own brand.
Yeah, so we developed our own brand. For the moment, it's still a t-shirt brand. We focus on something very organic cotton, sustainably produced. Portugal by a little family business, and the purpose here was not really to make money with it, because we wanted to give back. So we're with all our travels that we've been doing, especially in Asia, we realized there's quite a lot of problems of plastic pollution around the world, and especially in the oceans. And then we created this brand where we give a part of the revenues to a charity that is helping fight this. They work mostly on everything which is more knowing about the problem and preventing people from actually consuming that much plastic, rather than those charities. They have other charities who are actually doing a lot on the cleaning level. We think it's more important to work on the prevention level. So basically that's what we're doing with that. So it's a t-shirt brand for the moment. Hopefully we can grow it to, we're looking at sweaters now, and maybe baby products as well. So yeah, that's atypical. I think that the message here more is that we realized with our accounts that the way to go is to sell our own products, rather than to keep working with other brands where they pay for one picture or two pictures, because then it's always something you cannot predict. It's one-off. Maybe it's for 3 months, 2 pictures a month. Yeah, it's not a long-term revenue that we can predict. So now we're shifting more our vision on our own products.
Yeah, and then for us, the stores now look a bit prettier than before. So this is our newest flagship that we have in Camden, and this is our first studio. So this year we really took a step change in the infrastructure in terms of team. We're trying to get the team to support us in design, in production, get some office space, and continue to scale there. So in 3 channels basically, in our own shops, getting online as well, and also through other retailers.
Yeah, and the future for us is a bit twofold. So the negative part for us is that we're very dependent on one platform still now. So everything, our eggs are into Instagram mostly. So if Instagram shuts down tomorrow, we have a problem. We might have to come back to McKinsey.
Jean from London hiring law.
So we hear from many people just diversify on different platforms, YouTube, Facebook, or TikTok, all these new ones. The problem is that it takes a lot of energy, a lot of time. It's very hard to transfer an audience from one platform to the other. So if we started a YouTube channel tomorrow, it would be super hard to bring people over. That's one of our big challenges. We need to understand a bit, where do we go from now? Do we want to diversify on that or not? And on the flip side, so the big positive is that now we managed to develop kind of a voice. We're still at a small account, but we have some type of impact, and so we'd really like to be more involved in having a positive message for people. So we're working on sideways with friends as well to find a niche where we can really have an impact on people and try to start changing the behavior of people that are following us. Because again, social media is it's negative for some things, but the positive is that you can really influence people if you have a strong message.
And for us, we are really trying to build a souvenir brand. So where is From London going next is, for example, I'm sure that everyone here can name a brand of t-shirts, a brand of shoes, a brand of water, a brand of beer. But can anyone here name a brand of souvenir? Nope. Now you do. So we see that, for example, a lot of London designers from London that have like specific London collection, but they see themselves as designers with a London collection. We, very down the line, back when we started, we realized that we want to be a souvenir brand. So we want to be the first recognizable brands that you have friends coming to London and they're going to say, yeah, bring me something from London. And to do that, we had to now put the infrastructure in place for this year, which was a very important step for us, because we started the business literally with a £500 investment to buy one heat press and 100 blank coasters and a printer. And last year we turned £500,000 from the second bedroom of our house. So now with the infrastructure, like hiring a place, having a studio to actually hire people to work with you and expand the concept, we want to scale up the business.
So yeah, without being too general and too cliche, I think we thought we would just leave you with five main tips that we see from our journey going backwards. That could help you if one day you want to start your own thing. So the first one, and for me, is really important. Surround yourself by people that support you. We felt it very strongly. Like whenever we went back, especially in the beginning of our journey, when we were like, "What are these guys doing?" My parents didn't understand anything. So we felt very different energies with different groups of people, and it was really important for us to stay away from the people that would bring you down, because especially in the beginning, you need that push to keep on going. Otherwise, you would just say, "Yeah, what are we doing?" You would start doubting yourself as well. So it sounds obvious, but I think it's a really important one. Be with people that are optimistic, positive, that bring you up rather than bring you down. And we found this energy, especially in London, with our friends, with our MBA people, much more than back home. So that's why we're staying here now, because it makes a massive difference.
Yeah, and we should be really resilient with other people's comments or the vibe that they send you. Like, through your point, through your parents, my mom stopped asking me when you're gonna get a real job.
Yeah.
Like, probably last year, after 4 years of working on Home from London. But also, like, it takes a lot of self-confidence for you to stand up for your idea and to your project, even though, like, it's baby steps. You know, you're not gonna get it right the first time, but you have to put yourself out there, and that takes a lot of courage and self-confidence, and also like a lot of a clear mindset on what you're doing. You know, don't let be like take down by other people's comments.
Yeah, other people can really kill ideas when you're still when the idea is still in its baby steps. It really makes a difference when you surround yourself with people who are constantly negative, who are constantly questioning what you're doing. Whereas you're surrounded by people who keep saying to you, "Wow, it's so cool! Wow, you get to see that, you get to go there," and then you know, it changes your mindset from the very beginning. So,
and it's very important for you to be authentic in that as well. It's something that I realized only down the line. But in the beginning, you know, like I was this girl with this stall in Portobello, you know, among all these MBA people, and yeah, I had like this stall, and I was trying to look bigger, you know, than I was. So like in our Instagram pictures, I was trying to make like everything very clean, as this like this super professional like pictures, like blank backgrounds, you know, compositions, and I was not telling the story behind the brand. So I was not telling my story there under the rain, you know, the cover. And after I realized that what people look for more nowadays is something more authentic, you know, sharing like the difficult times as well. And when we started doing this on Instagram and social media, it's where we started getting more traction as well. But again, it takes some maturity and some self-confidence to do that as well.
Yeah, that's the idea. It is important. I mean, it's a big change, no? When you have a job every month, you get your salary. It's very safe. You know, whatever happens, worst gets to worst, your boss is going to get angry with you. Your evaluation is going to be a bit below average, maybe. The promotion might take a little bit longer to come, but in that sense, it is a big shift to come to a world that you start creating something. There are a lot of unknowns, a lot of things that can go right, a lot of things that can go wrong as well. So if you can test your idea before, helps a lot. So we both did, and that gives you both the confidence that what you're doing has some potential, and then it helps you also to get that push to jump. And also it helps you manage the risk as well of living in a more safer environment, like financially speaking, to something that is a little bit more uncertain.
Yeah, I think it's really, if you have an idea and you really want to go for it, don't just drop everything at once. It's very easy to start as a side project. Maybe one of the two can put more time into it and the other maybe less. Or don't drop everything at once. Try, and then the way we did it, he put his job first. I quit my job, and I think 5 months later, and even then, we're having a deal that we could always go back to our job. So there's those people who say, yeah, I dropped everything, I started a new business, and it went super well from the start.
Yeah, and it puts a lot of pressure on you as well to believe that I'm gonna drop, quit and start this, and it's gonna be amazing. I'm gonna have 1,000 sales in my first my first online store. So doing it as a side hustle, maybe something you do in the weekends, and it gives you more flexibility as well to expand the idea and try it out the first time. Maybe you're gonna change your products or get some feedback from your customers instead of dropping for this idealized plan that you had in your mind and it didn't work, immediately, or the time frame that you were planning to do it, because you will probably not.
Then we realized that there are so many things that are just super easy that you can just do better than someone else. I mean, coasters is a good example. For us, a bit different, but so just don't wait for that unicorn. If you have that entrepreneurial feeling, if you wait for the unicorn, you're never going to do anything.
No.
That's basically the message.
The market can be saturated, your product can be simple. I mean, for us, Instagram is super saturated. When we started, there were so many travel accounts. We had no idea. When we started, we thought, okay, maybe we can make some money through collabs. We had no idea we could start launching our own products. We had no idea we could develop a brand or create our own filters. In the beginning, you just see something is working. Okay, test it, and then go for it. Don't wait for the massive algorithm.
And you're gonna end up doing something very different than what you all the time. We started with a blog, we ended up selling T-shirts. You started with a blog as well, and you ended up selling coasters. So it's a journey. It's always going to evolve.
The fourth one is, as we said, you can manage the transition. Don't make it too disruptive as well. And for me, the main learning here is that also companies are much more flexible nowadays than you think. So when you come with a genuine intention of trying something out and to, you have an entrepreneurial spirit, entrepreneurial mindset is very important now in every company. So if you come with a genuine idea, you come clean, you are honest about it, there are ways that you can do this much smoother than saying, okay, keeping everything in your mind, hiding it, not showing what you're doing, and then all of a sudden say, okay, I quit, and then just making a much more disruptive change. At least our experiences was very much like that. So I told my boss 6 months before quitting that I had the idea of leaving 6 months down the line. And then I did this 6-month transition, and then after that I got 1-2 year period still that we are in touch. So and they're open for it. People are open for that. So give that a shot.
Yeah, and I guess you can always go back, no?
Yeah.
I think nowadays, the more we talk with our friends who are trying something, first they would regret not trying it. You're always going to have that in your mind saying, oh, I should have done that. And I think that's the worst feeling that you can have if you are have these entrepreneurial spirits. And the second is most of them say is I think you even become more attractive, because you learn so much by doing something on your own. I had to do accounting. I have no idea where to start, but you have to do it because nobody else is going to do it for you. And this brings a lot of new skills that you wouldn't have, in your comfort zone. So I think you become even more attractive, failing or not, or succeeding, but there is always the option,
manage the peak. So as I said before, there's such a huge degree of uncertainty in what we're doing. Actually, now we seem here very confident talking about the future. This is where the business is going. You know, like the sky is the limit. But when you're running your own company, yeah, you have the highs are very high, the lows are very low.
Yeah.
And even
Crying
without
the
talking,
bathtub.
yes, like crying low. Because again, some days you're like, okay, we're gonna conquer the world with this. We're gonna grow a souvenir brand. We're gonna expand to New York, Berlin, Barcelona. Every city has the same problem. You know, we'll do this. And then another day, okay, we need to pay salaries on Monday. We don't get, you know, we didn't sell enough this month. How do we do this? Okay, we don't pay ourselves a salary this month, so
It
we
was
can just
raining.
keep the business running. We were doing in Christmas last year. Christmas is very important for us. We were doing with Jean and Camille something. We have a stalls in Winter Wonderland and the market. So we said, okay, the second weekend of December is the highest sales. Okay, it's the highest trading second week of December because Christmas is very close. People got their salaries first week of December, so it's boom. And the second week of December, we said, okay, we were visualizing this moment that we had 2 points of sales, and we will do a competition like Jean and me against Camille and Bianca, and see who would sell more. Which we won, of course.
We paid so much.
And then the day came that we were waiting for so long, and it was -3 degrees, pouring rain, like a horrible day. Like, it was impossible, wind, like super strong winds. And we were there, sitting in our points of sales, looking at Winter Wonderland being completely empty. That is Winter Wonderland, I don't know if you've been there, but it's always like moving hundreds, thousands of people there on a Saturday night, the second weekend on the run for Christmas. It was absolutely empty. We were there looking at our faces going, oh shit. So just to illustrate, but you need to really it takes self-confidence, self-study as well to stay calm. When things are going really well, don't get too excited, and when things are going bad, also don't get too depressed, because one way or another you get through it.
Yeah. And I think like in our case, in everyone's case, the best way that we found to manage the peaks is having like absolute 100% confidence in your partner, which in our case is like our husbands, our wives, we're married. So it's even more important, but having someone who is like complementary to you, who's like, you have like skills that can work together, you're not gonna, you know how the other person thinks and how to react to that. That's what keeps us like very sane throughout the process. It was being able to go through it together and not letting these the lows, which are very low, to break us apart, or we just grew stronger after the bad experiences as well. But it takes a lot of understanding between you and your partner, in our case, life partner.
Yeah, maybe the very last point is that I don't know what it is, the law of cycles or anything like that, but like good news comes in numbers or in waves, with bad news as well. It's like always happening. It's like you have a high and then you have a low, but know that after every low there's a high, and that's I think really applicable for us.
Especially
and what's making the whole experience really fun. So yeah, that's it I think.
Yeah, that's all we have to say. So,
are there any
I don't know,
questions?
guys, if you want to share something, comments, questions. Yeah.
Question: do you have someone helping you now with the drawing with the hand
As much
there's
yeah.
6 people and how do you find it?
Yeah, as Nacho likes to say, my hand is our biggest bottleneck today because we cannot draw if I don't draw. So,
I'm training a robot.
yeah. No, that is actually now like this year as we expand is like one of our main goals is for me to have more time to be more creative and not being stuck in the operational side, which is what I was very much stuck in doing, like day-to-day things, technical stuff until this year. But then we started hiring, and hopefully now I have a bit more time to do more drawings.
On rooftops or on like actual historical buildings, and so is that just what you need to do to capture people's attention, or like what's the motivation behind some of these photos?
It's actually, we thought about it including in the presentation or not. So we had, for the background, we had one picture, we don't have it here, but that went crazy viral. It's when we were hanging out of a train in Sri Lanka. That looks very dangerous on photo. It was actually way less dangerous than it looks like.
It was staged, the picture.
But again, there's a bit of truth in there. The problem is that we constantly need to push our buttons. The quality, the average quality of content gets better and better and better. People get better. We need to find always something more to continue capturing the attention of people, and that could lead sometimes to some dangerous trends. One of them could be like, yeah, let's try to like put dangerous looking pictures because that's gonna hit the press and it's there's no bad publicity, so you're gonna grow it here in the papers. So there is a bit of yes to that. But we would never put ourselves in a life-threatening situation, for sure. But sometimes we make the photo look much more dangerous than it actually is. And then the question comes, are we giving the wrong example to followers? Which, again, is a fine boundary, but it's definitely a very fair point.
Yeah. I think my answer to what you're saying is more that for us, our pictures, it's it's a piece of art. We put a lot of planning into it, a lot of editing goes into it. Then what you see on Instagram is really the end product of a long process. And so, yeah, it's true that sometimes you say, okay, let's try to make it look dangerous, or let's try to make it look sensational, just like, movie directors try to make their movies super, super crazy with nice effects. And, Instagram is not reality. That's true, but I think, like you say, it's true that there is a move towards trying to show more of these things. Yeah.
Question for all of you. So now your business is based in the UK, right?
Yeah.
How easy or hard was from the technical point of view, like taxes, accounting? I've heard some people now who are going to freelance that they're kind of postponing it because of the new law coming out next year. So how do you deal with that?
From our side, we are 100% based here and everything. So our company is registered here, and we are both 100% UK residents and UK tax payers. So for now, unless you know something that I don't.
More like, did you need to get an accountant?
I think to your point, how fairly easy it was, I think one of the most amazing things about London and about the UK in general, especially specifically in London, and that's something that we told them as well, is it's very easy to be an entrepreneur here. It's very easy to start a job because the system pushes you to go legal, to go like a blank, no? Yeah, to do on the books, yeah.
The only problem is the rent, which is a bit high.
Lifestyle, not so much, of course. But in terms of like for you to register as a sole trader, for example, you have like an allowance to up until like you have the personal allowance, but then you pay really low taxes until you get to £70,000. Then you might start paying VAT, and the government gives you like 2 months down the line to start paying your first year of taxes.
2 years.
Yeah.
2 years.
2 years. Yeah. 6 months.
Yeah.
2 years down the line to pay your taxes from your first year, so it really gives you a lot of rope, But then when you have a reasonable size, you start paying taxes, and then it's fair. But for you to start up, you can register yourself online as a sole trader. Like it's super easy.
We were sharing the same accountant. Yeah.
Exactly. And we got an accountant that like pay like nothing, like in the beginning. But also what really helped us in the whole process of growing the business was having everything on the books from the beginning, because this gave us a lot of credibility with our bank. Like it's a real business, we have money coming in, coming out, we have 50% of sales are in cash, and they all go to the bank, from day one, and this gave us a lot more credibility with the bank to start getting loans, anything like that. So their accountant told us like, guys, I have like clients trying to get like a loan with the bank for years and they don't get it. How did you get, this allowance? They say, well, it's all in there, So this really, and I really encourage everyone to do the same.
Yeah, I think on that we like I said, we also incorporated in the UK. And before we did that, we compared two systems because we were hesitating on going in Belgium, since we both Belgians, or the UK, and then we really saw, whoa, there's a massive difference in what they have to pay, and London is way more advantageous. So apart from the rent, indeed, it took us, I think, 2 meetings with an accountant and 1 meeting with the bank, and it was done. So it took us maybe 1 million, not even a month.
Looking back, how important was the MBA?
It's a great question. I'll start. For me, it was one of the most fundamental decisions I have ever made. But it depends. It depends on what's your expectation beforehand. Okay. For me, it was kind of a time off. It was a time to do some reflection. And if I have never done the MBA, London would not exist. In the first place, because we would have never moved to London, probably. But second, because we wouldn't have the friends, the network, the time to think, the supporting group, and yeah.
The mindset.
The mindset.
You see, there's everybody's like trying to, you know, like there is this energy, you know, like when you're there, it's very fostering for ideas, just for. If you want to take it just like as your free time, you know, like whenever you're working or you're focused on your career, everything, like you don't usually stop and reflect. And we used to do this like countlessly times in bars or in parties, but we were always talking about ideas, you know. And I think a lot of people from our group of friends, from the MBA, like half of us is like doing something on their own.
Yeah, but it depends a lot on what you expect from the MBA before you do it. You need to have a clear idea on why you want to do it. If you want to do it to learn, like on the academic side, if you want to do it to advance your career, if you want to do it to take some time to think. So in my case, that was my expectation, and that's what for me was really helpful.
And yeah, maybe we can, you know, so as we draw in actual, because sometimes they say it's like in terms of like technical, I don't know if you want to ask about like technical things, if you learn, there's like having your classes of like how to build a business, and in the MBA, is it, what took you there, or was it more, you know, like the mindset that you were in?
No, so yeah, of course, for me, the real MBA is actually what I'm doing now with Jean from London, actually, starting a real business. From the academic side, it's very interesting, but nothing in real life. To learn actually what really makes a difference.
How do you take photos when you're both in picture?
So we just place it and then put our camera under the diamond function. We run. It can lead to stressful situations when we put it in the water under the waves, and there's like 10 centimeters between the camera and the water. But so far we managed to.
Even the train.
The train one, we were traveling with Jean's brother, and he was hanging out of the front, and yeah, sometimes it's not possible to use the track, but then we ask people to pass. We never work with a professional or anything like that. And we learned everything ourselves as well, so everything about photography, editing.
That for me, one of the most impressive things that I saw is like how they really learn everything themselves.
That's the picture, guys. So, I mean, it initially went viral everywhere. It was in Chinese newspapers, Vietnamese, everywhere. And we did it through it together. For the first time, we were like caught into this crazy wave of going viral with one picture. Everybody was calling the Daily Mail published it. And everybody was starting to make their own story out of it. But a lot of hate messages from it. A lot. Yeah, but I mean, understandably so. Because when we posted it, we didn't. For us, because the train was barely moving, so it was like it wasn't looking that dangerous to us because the train wasn't moving when we took the picture. But then afterwards, posting it, we realized, maybe it looks a little bit more dangerous than it actually looks. But then it went crazy when there was no bad publicity. We were like. Our account exploded since then, and everything exploded with it. So we got much higher engagement. The story views went ×3 since then. So yeah, maybe the story here is that there is no bad. That's think it's a very good thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's very good.
So that's again what is the difference between art and giving the wrong example.
I think it is a bit of art, you know, like people say, I think there's a lot of criticism about social media in general, but it is a piece of art, you know, like why a photographer taking a picture for the cover of Vogue magazine, you know, can do crazy stuff, but influencers, you know.
We got a lot of hate messages.
Yeah.
That's another learning.
Yeah.
I think it's more the people, but because when you go and look at art and painting, you know that you can see a political situation and you know to say, well, this you don't really know.
Yeah.
No,
Or they don't see this.
Fair enough.
Where
We should have tagged, we should have put don't try this as
Yeah.
But thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much.